Welcome back to the Williams, ELLEBY HOWARD EASTER YouTube channel. I'm Joel and this is Jared with two partners here at the firm, and today we want to talk about how your car can be a digital witness against you or in your favor after you've been in a car wreck. So I'm old enough, believe it or not, I got enough wrinkles to remember when the best we could get from vehicles was what most people call black box data or ECM data. And that data we could gather from like impact and right around the time of the wreck and sort of know was the braking, what was the speed at the time of the impact, things of that nature. But it was limited. And sometimes we could get it, sometimes we couldn't. But I'm gonna tell you, nowadays, there is so much more information that's available, not only from what's built into the car when you buy it, but apps you can install on your phone or external devices that you can put onto your vehicle to help track all sorts of things. So we're going to go through some of those things today and talk about how they can have a positive or a negative impact on a personal injury case that you bring. So Jared, do you want to go through some of the features that newer vehicles have?
Yeah, so most new vehicles, especially anything after probably the year like 2020, almost across the board, has a ton of data recorders built into it that will tell you the speed and impact, but it will also tell you your speed and braking for roughly 7 seconds leading up to the wreck. And by speed and braking, it's not only just how fast you were going, it can tell how the percentage of, how do I explain this? The percentage the accelerator is pressed down. So was it 20%? Was it 50%? Were you flooring it in the moments before the wreck? It'll also show braking. Were you touching the brakes? Were you not? Steering wheel direction, whether you're wearing your seatbelt. It will even show some of the kind of more complicated engineering data of delta V's and forces if the vehicle turns or flips as the wreck occurs. It really can get into a ton of details about everything that's going on in the 7 seconds leading up to a wreck. In some cases, which we have a whole other video on it, it even has video footage or maybe even pictures that are taken. So you can check that video out as well. We're not going to get into that here, but it covers a lot of kind of the moving parts of the car, also vehicle diagnostics. You can see if maybe something went wrong with your vehicle in the moments leading to the crash.
Yep. Yeah, we could nerd out about this all day with with lawyers that do auto accident cases, but the point is if you don't think this applies to you, just think about, like, do you own a Chevy or a GMC, and do you have OnStar? Do you own a Ford? Do you have Ford Connect? Or FordPass, I think it is, and Toyota is Toyota Connect. And there's several other similar type things there. I mean, just recently, I was traveling back from a family member's house in South Georgia, driving back up here to Kennesaw where we live, and I got right north of Columbus, Georgia, and all of a sudden, here comes the engine overheat light coming on. I drive a GMC Sierra pickup truck, and I'm like, what's going on? So I pull over, and sure enough, a timing belt had blown and I'm stuck, right? Well, I just reach up and press the OnStar button, and here comes GMC. They GPS locate where my truck is, and we get it taken care of. So like in those situations, super helpful, super cool, and amazing that we have the ability to do that. But at the same time, if I'd have been going through that spot and I wasn't paying attention and somebody stopped in the road in front of me and I plowed into them, guess what? That same data is going to show that it was my fault. And the person who was hurt might be able to use that data for their benefit. So it's not only lawyers that use it, it's insurance companies too, right? And that kind of segues into the next thing that we want to talk about, is it's not only software and technology that's built into the vehicle, but it's also technology that you may voluntarily put on your vehicle. So when you see these commercials from different insurance companies that say, hey, put this in your car and we'll give you a 15% discount. Well, you know what they're doing is they're tracking your speed, they're tracking your hard braking, they're tracking all these things that you're doing. And if you're not perfect, well, guess what discount you don't get? Guess what your rates might actually do? They might actually go up. So, but here's the thing, if you're in a wreck, all that data is available. And it can be subpoenaed in a case and used either for your benefit or again against you. So if you're a lawyer watching this, It might be something to think about if you're looking outside the box to show why your client's not responsible. Find out who the insurance company is for the other person, figure out whether they had one of these devices in their car, and ask for it in discovery. Because that might be all you need. And especially when it's the insurance company's own data and own software, it's going to be a whole lot harder for them to dispute the accuracy of what's in there. But it's not just things you can get from the insurance company. There's mobile apps too, right?
Yes, there's mobile apps that can track driving in a lot of different contexts. I mean, some of them I think even have, similar to the insurance company's devices you can plug in that will track various things about your car. I think they're geared more towards diagnostic issues, but I have seen some out there that will track your speed and braking and things of that nature to kind of act as a supplement so you can have more real time. I guess you can get some of that information without having to pay an expert a few $1,000s to go pull the data from the manufacturer's recorders that are built in. Yeah. And then also a lot of employers will install apps as well to track various, make sure that their delivery drivers aren't speeding or that they're staying on route, going to the right places, not taking long lunch breaks or whatever it may be. Yeah. But there's a lot of those apps out there that are installed that you can either buy or installed by other people professionally to track what's going on.
Yeah, and we've seen that more often in the commercial, like tractor trailer, big rig, 18-wheeler world, where they've got a very valuable cargo that they're delivering somewhere, and the dispatch center wants to make sure that that cargo is on track and all that. And we've been able to access some of that data in the past, and I mean still do to this day, to determine whether the wreck that someone calls us about was the tractor trailer driver's fault or not, because it isn't always the tractor trailer driver's fault. I know some of our comments in these videos, it's big rig drivers like fussing us. You can't say it's always our fault. I get it, it's not always your fault, but we got to get the data to find out whose fault it really is, and that's one source that we can get that data from. But another app that I love as a parent of a teenager who drives is Life 360. So it's like me and my wife and my daughter, and for some odd reason we have my mother-in-law on there, which I'll never understand why she needs to know where I'm at all the time, but she's on there. But I love it because at the end of the week I get this driving report, and it says, okay, well, your oldest daughter hard braked X number of times this week, or she exceeded the speed limit X number of times this week, or something of that, or she had a sudden acceleration X number of times this week. So as a parent, it can be very useful. And then sometimes it can make you self-reflect on your own driving, because I see my driving report on there as well. And if I see it and it's like, oh, you went more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit 27 times, I'm like, okay, maybe I should be a little more careful out there, right? But
I was unaware it did that.
Yeah, so whenever your oldest son starts driving, you might want to get that. Or maybe not.
Maybe not.
I don't know.
I'll just live in ignorance. It'll be better that way.
But it's there, and it's a source of information that attorneys can access when somebody has been in a wreck. You just have to think about doing it and know the proper channels to go about getting it. So other things that, and this is just kind of a side note, and then we'll wrap this video up, but some of this software and some of this technology that's in these vehicles can give you information about like G-forces and delta V's and all these different things that we would talk about in physics, and we'd probably have to bring in an expert to talk about that, but it gives you all this stuff, and that information and that data can then be transmitted or given to a biomechanical expert, someone who is an expert on how forces affect the human body. And you usually see this you see it when insurance companies bring in biomechanical experts in what are perceived to be low speed collisions, and they say, listen, here's the forces based on this data. We've given it to this expert. That expert has looked at this and said there is no way that this amount of force could cause whatever the injury is. There's a lot of flaws in that and a lot of ways to attack it, because human bodies are always different. Some of us have pre-existing conditions that others don't have and are more susceptible to injuries, but it's just something to be aware of, that data can be used by other experts to try to claim that somebody couldn't have the injuries that they're saying they have.
And sometimes it can go the other way. We had a case a couple of years ago where a tractor trailer hit our guy in his truck, which happened to have a trailer hitch on it on the interstate. And admittedly, he drove that truck in the parking lot and it didn't look like it had been hit. And I was like, I don't know about this. But we had our expert go out, pull the data, and the black box or whatever, the recorder data showed that the G-forces were actually considerably more than what the damage reflected. And he kind of opined that because of the trailer hitch, that it took the brunt of the force. So our client felt the impact, but it just didn't show up as far as the damage on the vehicle due to the strength of the trailer hitch. So occasionally you can have it go the other way where it doesn't look like it's a big deal, and it turns out it actually is once you dig into the data.
That's right, exactly. Well, the main point of this video is that your car can actually provide some of the most important data to get to the truth of what happened, and eyewitness testimony might not be quite as valuable as it used to be before we now have this digital data that can come from stuff that's installed in your vehicle. It can come from things you install on your phone. It can come from aftermarket things that you put onto your vehicle. But it's out there, and it's something to be aware of after you've been in a wreck. And when you're speaking to a lawyer about your wreck, you might want to ask them what their plan is to access this data and whether it might be available in your particular vehicle or in the vehicle that hit you, so that you can use it to strengthen your case. But we hope this video has been helpful to you. If so, give us a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you in a couple of weeks with more personal injury videos.
As personal injury lawyers, we love what we do, and we're happy to share the experience we've gained in personal injury law. To help our family, friends, and YouTube subscribers, we've shared over 300 personal injury videos covering various injury topics. So if you'd like to gain more knowledge that may help protect yourself or a loved one when you're on the roads or out in public, check out our channel or view our playlist of shorts for quick personal injury tips.